There is a disturbing trend going around in MAGA social media. Have you ever waded into the waters? Don't. But if you do, the waters of MAGA TikTok, you'll find this, which is a trend that many of the MAGAs are finding very, very funny. And that is doing the gesture that Elon Musk did. And I know what you're asking. What do you mean, the gesture, Elon? What? I don't know what you're talking about. It's not like that was the most viral thing over the last 2 weeks. Here is Elon, as a reminder, accidentally, apparently, doing this gesture.
Thank you.
Of course, as always, as we continue through this segment, please do remember to click the subscribe button. So as I told you when we originally covered that, I operate under the assumption when someone does that gesture, especially in such a context, that of course they wouldn't actually be trying to do the Nazi salute. Of course not. He was saying, my heart goes out to you, and it was just an awkward gesture that he did twice. Okay? Fine. I'll assume that. I really will. But what I will not assume is that people are coming at it in good faith or being responsible with their social media activity when they then follow this up with intentional trivialization of that gesture, right? Of the history connected to it. And that's what happened, where Elon then was trolling people, saying stuff afterwards. And so my two big takeaways are, number one, your logic is not consistent. If you're mad that some liberals went too far, and some did, in saying for certain he was doing it on purpose. No, we don't know that for certain at all. And actually, I think it's more likely that he was totally accidentally, wasn't even trolling, was just accidentally doing it. But if indeed that's the conclusion we should all operate under, then why are you going and intentionally doing it over and over and over again after it's been so clearly defined to be too similar to the Nazi salute? Like this mother getting her son to do it. And it's just gross. Why? Because it's trivializing. Doesn't mean you don't have the right to. Doesn't mean you can't. But it is trivializing. It is making light of what that represents. And then we get into people who quite literally are actively ruining their lives over this.
Just checking in on my friends who are struggling this week. My heart goes out to you. Hope you're doing okay.
So number one, as I said before, they're not consistent in their logic, because if indeed you see why that gesture is inappropriate, but you insist it was a total accident, fine, I accept. But then you start doing it over and over again, so now that's not an accident, so then you do mean something by it. But the second point, if you're going, oh, come on, they're not saying Nazi stuff. All right. I'm saying that their ambition to own the libs, which is what they think they're doing. They thought that was annoying. Look, we're going to do it over and over again. That is superseding being reasonable. And they're so ambitious to own the libs that they'll then make light of such a tragedy that's connected to the gesture. All right. So we go forward. Keep that lady in your mind, because we'll circle back to what happened in her life. But first, here's a priest doing it.
This is the last stand for Christendom. It's make or break time. The whole of the old world is crumbling. Every country in Europe is embracing death. America, as far as I could see, is the only country fighting for life. And that's down to you guys. So God bless all of you for what you're doing. Please keep doing it. I hope that I can encourage you. And my heart goes out to you. God bless.
And then he smiles. It's not funny. It's just you doing something you know will upset people for a pretty reasonable reason. Tizzy Int, as he goes by on X, then had this video breaking down what happened to the second woman, but the one I told you to keep in your head after she did that.
Update. Remember this lady? A lot of people are on the internet doing their version of Elon's salute, trying to prove that there's nothing wrong with it. And then when they do it, it doesn't go well for them. This woman, Laura Smith, happened to be the vice chair of the Board of Supervisors in her township in Pennsylvania. And she did this, and then people were upset, including her constituents. Then she commented on the video about how, oh, you're all just being sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And then she made this post, clapping back. She said, they're calling for me to apologize and resign. Apologize for what? My heart goes out to you? Tim Walz did exactly that. Watch the video. It's out there. But no one had an issue there. All the Democrat leaders have similar photos out there. But no one has an issue. Wake up. These people do not want you to think for yourselves. They want to believe what they tell you, and if you step out of line, they will come for you. That seemed like she was taking a hardline stance. Definitely not going to resign, not going to apologize, not going to happen. Spoiler alert, she resigned. Today, January 25th. The Montgomery.
All right. Then what happened to the priest? Associated Press reporting. A Michigan priest had his license revoked by the Anglican Catholic Church after he mimicked a straight arm gesture performed by Elon Musk during a speech earlier this month that some have interpreted as a Nazi salute. By the way, of the options of why he did that, you have number one, total accident, was doing My Heart Goes Out to You and just jutted it really strong for some reason, twice. Okay. Number two, wanted it to be perceived as an accident, but knew kind of that it would cause sort of as Chuck Schumer put it, an arousal of rage from people. And he wanted that so that he could sort of go viral and be the guy who the left's unfairly coming after. And number three, he was doing it still to play it off as an accident. That's a given. He was going to say that. But as a little dog whistle. I think first two. Or maybe there's a blend of them. Who knows? But if we're talking about a complete and total accident, I still am trying to figure out how that sort of happens with the body. But I'm willing to assume it. Then why are people doing it over and over again? If it's not bad because it's an accident, which I actually see the logic there, then taking away the accidental part of it makes it bad, right? That was y'all's argument, I thought. Oh, but when it comes to, because we've been unreasonable in making any deal of it, which I talked about it once, but because the interweb, the World Wide Web, made a deal of it, now that justifies doing it over and over again intentionally because then we own them over and over. Oh, it's so good. Well, you're the ones losing your jobs over it, okay? Not us. You're the ones ruining your lives over it, not us. Now, by the way, there are a bunch of other examples. You've seen it enough. You get it. But another thing we found, which we went over on the bonus show yesterday, by the way, if you're not a member, I'm genuinely asking, what are you doing? No, I'm kidding. I encourage you to become one. But we talked about this on the bonus show yesterday, and I want to bring it to everyone. This is another thing we found in MAGA TikTok, okay? Listen to this.
I don't give two shits that families are being separated if somebody's getting deported. I actually find it...
I realize for our new viewers, I haven't explained to you when I said, why aren't you a member? Clicking the join button below is how you get that.
Gives me a great deal of comfort. I have no sympathy that your child might grow up without a father because he got sent back to Mexico or whatever. I mean, y'all are welcome to go with him. Don't forget that's an option. That's a choice that you're making, right? I don't have any sympathy for your little videos that you're making on social media with all the tears. I don't give a shit. I'm actually fucking laughing at you that you're sitting there crying for attention. Okay. I find you guys to be subhumans.
Keep that line in your head because I want to address it in a second.
Right. Now, while you're sitting there judging me because I don't care that families are going to be separated from each other, I'd invite you to recall that hundreds of J6ers were separated from their families for something that equates to little more than a trespassing charge. Where were you then? Okay, bye.
Oh, gosh. Is that... Hey, Jaden, do you think that's how I should end the rest of our videos now? Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Make sure to comment and click the join button below. Okay, bye. Should I do it one more time? Are you comfortable enough yet? Well, First of all, as I mentioned on yesterday's bonus show, I think that she doesn't seem to grapple well with logic, right? Trying to handle logic. I see the condescension. Someone told me I was condescending. Okay, there, I just caught it. I'll stop doing that. But she says that the reason it's okay to call people subhuman is because January 6ers were temporarily away from their family, but could have visitation while they were in jail for a crime they committed. She says that's not acceptable, or that is proof that you're a hypocrite, because the crimes that the January 6ers committed, some of them were minor offenses. She doesn't address the violent whipping someone with a metal whip, a police officer tasing them, etc. But okay, let's just address the less severe offenses. She does realize that being in the country without legal status, just the presence of being in the United States without legal status, is a civil offense. So it's also it's a minor offense by her wording. And then crossing the border illegally, your first time, is a misdemeanor. And then if you keep doing it, it can be escalated to a felony. So what her logic was, is that her stance is wrong based on her January 6th connection. So that's number one. Number two, this is what I'm talking about. I said when we talked about this big, prominent MAGA influencer who herself was learning that her husband might be deported. And because he had sort of had troubles with it, maybe he had a visa, but then expired and something to that effect. And she was saying, no, this is not fair because he had legal status. So yeah, we were talking about doing all these things and Guantanamo Bay for undocumented immigrants, but he had legal status. And the point that I made, and one that is demonstrated by what she said, is, of course, we want to enforce immigration laws, and that means certain people end up being deported. You prioritize folks who have done bad things, but when you start getting the territory with undocumented immigration where you're dehumanizing and you're not acknowledging the humanity and thus the stories, the reasons that come along. And it goes from not just let's enforce immigration laws, let's have a secure border, all that. Of course, y'all know me. I want all that. But it steps into they're the enemy and they should all be demonized and dehumanized, which you heard her say, subhuman. Well, then to all of the Trump supporters who are really confused that legal status is now being targeted, we're seeing Trump revoke the legal status of people. So we're not talking about anymore just undocumented immigrants, but folks who are doing it the quote unquote right way. And Trump's going after them. And Trump's cutting off commitments to refugees. And we went through the particulars already. Why? But MAGA's all confused. Wait, no, but I didn't think you were going to come after my husband because he had legal status, at least he used to, but because that's what you enabled. You enabled women like this who say subhuman. They're not saying enforce the law. They're saying speaking to the fundamental humanity of somebody. And that doesn't see legality, right? That gets down to, yes, I don't say this on every issue. You can care about fixing immigration problems. You can even be in favor of less immigration. And I'm not just going to throw out bigoted, but that's motivated by bigotry. She's saying if you come from certain countries, you are now subhuman to her. Because otherwise, the process, if you have legal status, that doesn't define the humanity of someone. Obviously. And that's what Trump's poisoning of the blood rhetoric, his overall defining of an entire group of people is doing to his followers, that then enables him to end up making mad other ones of his followers who are going, no, I didn't think you meant us. Wait, whoa. Well, when you used subhuman as a way of characterizing folks, no longer does the legality line of a particular act of crossing or a visa expiring and you're not leaving, does that matter to people? It just becomes about their humanity. And that is not seen any longer. So it shouldn't be a surprise to the folks that are confused by the breaking of promises by the Trump administration on lawful immigration when they were along for the ride with the dehumanization before it impacted them directly because of women like that. They were promoting women like that. Disgusting. Share your thoughts in the comments. Okay, bye.